All right, welcome everyone. Today is Wednesday, the 15th of May, 2024, and this is the Cluster API project meeting. Cluster API is a sub-project of Kubernetes SIGs, and as such, we follow their meeting guidelines, which basically can be summarized as please treat everyone as you expect to be treated, or in otherwise, please be kind to each other. And if you'd like to talk, please raise your hand and I will call on you. So at the beginning of our meetings, we like to give a chance for new attendees to introduce themselves or say hey to the community. So if that sounds like you, please raise your hand and I'll call on you and you can say hi to everybody. And the raise hand button is under reactions, I think, for most people. Okay, I am not seeing any hands going up, so we will move along to the open proposal readouts, but I don't think we have any. We don't. So let's get into the regular agenda. So the first topic on the agenda is a PSA for me. There is a breakout meeting tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern, 1500 Central European time, where we're planning to discuss some technical topics from the Hack MD doc that I've got linked here. And basically, these are just kind of issues that are coming up as we're looking at how the Carpenter integration is going. And we had originally kind of talked about machine deployments and kind of orphan machines and some questions we had about that. And Fabrizio kindly offered to kind of go into a technical deep dive with us. So I've tried to enumerate some of the problems that I think we're running into and just issues that I think we're going to get into in general. And yeah, we'll probably spend maybe up to an hour tomorrow talking about this and just trying to, just understand the problem space and see if we can come up with some common kind of solutions and whatnot. I created a calendar invite for it. So if anyone would like to be part of that, please ping me on Slack with your email address and I'll add you to the invite. And if not, it will be in this Zoom channel tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern time, like I said, which is like 1500s, European time. It'll be a little early for the West Coasters here in the United States, and I apologize, and Canada. And I apologize for that, but it's tough to schedule these meetings at a good time for everyone. So, any questions or comments about that before I move on? Okay, not seeing any hands or things in chat. So, Daniil and Richard, you've got a CAP APF provider demo. So please take it away.
May I ask you for another minute to prepare?
Yeah. Why don't we'll go on to Chandan's topic and then we'll come back to you. Do you need a screen share to do the demo or are you
Yeah,
okay? Okay. All right, cool.
thank you.
Chandan, you've got a release announcement for 1.6.5 and 1.7.2.
Sure, thanks. So recently in this week, we have made a release for two patch releases basically for version 1.6.5 and version 1.7.2. So we made few improvement like some bug fixes and some improvement from the all the teams members or the all the contributors. Thanks to all those contributors and thanks to the release team for making this happen. Yep, that's all I
Plus,
have.
yeah, plus one, Chandan. Thank you, and big thanks to the release team. Your efforts are greatly appreciated, and yeah, you really help keep the train moving here. So thank you very much. Okay, Daniil, are you ready to do some demoing?
Just Richard, in case you will be able to replicate the demo, I'm gonna try to just
Okay.
so some issues, but I can start.
Should I make you the co-host then for screen sharing?
Yeah, I would
Okay.
appreciate that.
Okay. So I'm gonna make you co-host. And I guess Richard, you might have to stop sharing. Oh, can we only have one? Okay, we're good. Please, Daniil, take it away.
So hey folks, my name is Daniel. Me and Richard Case, we are planning to present a new add-on provider fleet for cluster API today. Let me quickly share my screen and hopefully we can go through the live demo. How can I do this? I can't see.
You might be having the same issue that I have. When you click on screen share, does it come up and just has like an empty window with nothing to share?
It allows me to share photos, Cloud Drive, Dropbox, but maybe.
Yeah. You might be having the same issue that I have where screen sharing just doesn't seem to work in this meeting for some reason.
Yeah, if you can open the fleet documentation, I can just talk through the fleet and the functionality in this scenario.
Okay.
We can and delay it for the next week. I'm not sure what's the best scenario, but right. Shortly speaking, that's a provider we implemented recently. What it allows you to do? It's provider for Fleet. Fleet is a GitOps solution which allows you to declaratively specify desired state of your cluster or clusters and manage things at scale from Git environment. And with this add-on provider, we essentially are connecting those two points and making integration very smooth and simple. Why would you need this? Fleet is, well, I guess there's an alternative for this. As an add-on provider example, there's a Helm add-on provider. Probably some of you are familiar with this. They provide us sort of a additional custom resource called Helm Chart Proxy, allowing you to deploy Helm charts in the freshly provisioned clusters, which is quite useful. Fleet allows this to do so as well. I can post a link to the Fleet documentation. Mike, if you can open this.
Yeah, put the link in chat. Richard is running things right now because I also have the same problem that you have where I'm not allowed to share.
Just drop it in the chat. I'll be happy to put it up.
Yep. So I can briefly talk about the definitions of what Fleet provides, and then talk about what actually the add-on provider does. So yeah, with Fleet, what's the benefit of using Fleet? GitOps solution, right? You can apply all your manifests. You can manage class data through Fleet thanks to declarative model we have. So you can deploy the infrastructure. You can deploy clusters as well. And Fleet allows you to do a multi-cluster setup, which I wanted to show in this demo, where essentially, unlike the Helm chart proxy, the connection is initiated from the child cluster to the management cluster, which is a bit of a different pattern, but it may allow in some scenarios to work with private networks and networks behind NAT for the clusters you provision in Capi. And we are doing this by leveraging Fleet clusters and cluster groups. Cluster is essentially a definition for the destination where the Git jobs will execute and deploy Helm charts, because everything in the definition of Fleet is a Helm chart. Even your customized definitions, even your Git repo, they become a Helm chart which will be applied to the cluster. And cluster groups is a selection logic with the label selectors upon those clusters to define a set of clusters or destinations where you want to apply the same bundles, which is probably another resource. Bundle is essentially the application across those clusters seamlessly. and Fleet manages this for you. What add-on provider does is integrating those things. So it's installed as a regular add-on provider. You deploy it, you apply the, well, it's difficult to, to say without showing the screen actually, but we install the release, and we are doing essentially a replication of the labels from the cluster in copy scenario to the Fleet cluster. So each cluster in existence in the management cluster will have similar named Fleet cluster. And for each cluster with a cluster class, currently we are basically creating a cluster group which points to the set of clusters you want to deploy applications to. So whenever you create a new cluster for the cluster class and you have specific labels and you expect the cluster group to work, you will get applications deployed after the bootstrap without any additional logic. That's more or less the core of the concept. Maybe as you may notice, if you can please go to the repository itself. It's written in Rust. It's a different, I guess, story. We tried out some interesting approaches to how we can do this, and Rust was one of the choices. We used KubeRS framework, which is pretty solid, I would say, comparable in functionality to controller runtime. And obviously we have the Rust type system robust, which could be a plus for someone and minus for someone else, depending on your choice. But if you like it, I would really recommend this. And how we actually integrate this with, I guess, copy concepts is by defining or using the tool which also comes with the I guess Cube framework logic, which generates the CERD structures definitions from CRTs. It's called Copium. It worked pretty well with copy definitions, and I guess the only limitations we saw there were in the CRDs itself, like some variables of the cluster classes where there's an cycles in those, I think, definitions. Those don't have any structure, but again, doesn't really matter for our use case. So yeah, I would love to present a demo. I guess I won't be able to do this live, but we can record this and add this later in the meeting notes. So if anyone is interested, feel free to contact us. Yeah, me, either Alex or Richard Case as well. And well, I also know if I may, we may have soon get a position ready open. So if you are interested in things we are doing, and we as a team are heavily invested in copy and trying to do everything upstream way, like this provider is one of the examples, and you want to share it with us, feel free to contact and discuss. So yeah, sorry for technical difficulties, but I guess
No, it's all good. And thank you for sharing, Daniel. This is really cool work. And yeah, like if you want to record a video of the demo and link it in here, or if you want to come back next week, or and if we can get the screen sharing working and present the demo again, I think that's awesome. And also like super happy to see more Rust tooling getting out in the Kube land. That's awesome too. Does anyone have questions or comments for Daniel about this effort? Fabrizio, please, you got your hand up.
Yeah, first of all, thank you for the demo. We love demos. I can let me say technical message. I kindly ask you and Mike, if possible, to reach out in SIG computer backs asks. So we if we can figure it out what is going on with your if it is something on your set up, or this is something in how the meeting is defined. And so maybe the country backs they know something about this. So getting back to the tool. First of all, I really appreciate see the idea of cluster API provider taking a new expanding apart from the initial provider. Really, this is something that makes me really happy. I have two questions. One is one issue that usually we face when we apply application or add-ons to a cluster is that in some cases we need some information from the cluster to go into the Helm chart or the application itself. Do you have something similar? I don't know. I want to deploy Calico, and I need to get the cluster seeder to get into Calico.
So I believe in this scenario, we don't have any sort of such logic which I guess grabs the information and places this in the generated manifests, but it's a Git managed situation. So essentially the store or source of truth is the Git repository where you have the overview of those things available.
Yeah, but if I got it right, in the Git, I will have a manifest that gets applied to a fleet. If I want this manifest to somehow change cluster by cluster, I cannot do this in Git, right? Okay, let me say, take this as idea for improvement. It is a use case that I've seen a couple of times. And second is okay. Just to ask again. I heard you support Helm. You support also something else in terms of how to define manifestos.
Well, it's the definition of the, I guess, the Git repository or bundle could come from any location from Git, from Helm charts, and from customize definitions. So
yes, thank you. Thank you. Really interesting.
Okay. Thank you, Fabrizio. Any other questions or comments around this? Let me get my participants window back up here. Okay, I'm not seeing any hands going up. Oh, sorry, Mohammed, please go ahead.
Yeah, just to clarify and excuse my lack of knowledge for Fleet. So Fleet is like is not a Kubernetes distribution. It's an add-on that installed like in whatever Kubernetes flavor. Is that correct?
yeah, so what it does, it's a similar, you can read the proposal for the Helm chart proxy as for contents about add-on installation. It follows the same semantics. So you regularly create your copy cluster. It's getting bootstrapped, and after that, add-on does something with this freshly created cluster. It doesn't go into bootstrap procedure directly at the state, but yeah, you can apply applications after that once your I guess control plane is available and connectable.
Yeah, and then CabF is like the provider that integrate with whatever cluster that have the Fleet add-on installed on it. Is that correct as well?
More like allows you to deploy apps, but I'm probably not fully understanding the question. Sorry.
I mean, so then CabF is the project that provider for Fleet. So like the provider is only integrate with whenever Kubernetes cluster that has Fleet installed on it. if there is no fleet installed, it will still be able to install fleet on this clusters
Yeah.
and do the operation, or it has required the cluster first to have a fleet installed on it?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, that I wanted to display in the demo. It's been installed automatically. So how it does this, when you create a fleet cluster, which is similar to copy cluster, there's one-to-one, I guess, dependency within those. It's automatically, you have to specify the kubeconfig secret reference, their name, and through this kubeconfig secret reference, it connects to the freshly created child cluster and then applies the add-on agent on it. So first step, roll out the add-on fleet agent on the child cluster, and then this is responsible for deploying the rest of the application. So it bootstraps itself in this default behavior.
Yeah, thanks, makes sense. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, great questions, Mohammed. Any other questions or comments? I see Richard Case is adding some details in the chat here as well.
Yeah, Richard actually did the demo. I'm gonna reuse his recordings and things like that. So you can ask him questions as well.
Cool. So if anyone has questions about the CAP fleet, CAP F as we're calling it now, yeah, please reach out to Daniil or Richard. They're both on Slack. And yeah, thank you so much for bringing this. It's, I share Fabrizio's excitement. It's cool. It's cool to see new stuff come here. And yeah, thank you so much. Okay, so one point of order before I get on to Matt here. So Fabrizio, I heard you talking about the contribx stuff and whatnot. I actually did start a thread in contribx about this. I think we need to somehow get into the control panel for our Zoom and check the settings there, because like my client actually does work in other meetings, in other Zoom meetings. It's something about the settings in this meeting.
Okay, let's talk about after the Carpenter meeting tomorrow. Maybe
Yeah,
we
sounds
can
good.
pair.
Yeah, please go ahead.
I have another comment. There is a thing that I really like about what we just saw, which is this idea of fleet of group of homogeneous clusters, which I think that is, yeah, it is a dimension that in cluster API we are low to manage many clusters, but we never really invested in making simpler to manage many clusters that are all equal. And there are many things. One is add-on that explore this area, but probably there are more. So this is another, let me say, a really good idea that I get from the demo, and I thank you, Daniel and Richard, for bringing this up. Oh, Mike is momentarily away. I saw Stefan commented, cluster class was a small step in that direction. Yes, that's true. But yeah, I think that we have, we are still way to go. And thank you for going. Mike, back to you. We can move on with the agenda.
Okay, cool. Yeah, sorry. Apologies about that. Someone just rang my doorbell and I was not expecting that. Okay, great. Yeah. Awesome discussion around CapF. So back on schedule here, looks like Matt, you've got a progress report on Cappy Charts repo. So please, Matt.
Thanks, Mike. This will be pretty short, but if you were here 2 or 3 weeks ago, David Tessar on our team was talking about what we think is a need to host some charts that allow you to deploy workload clusters. In particular, we've had a couple for managed clusters that work on CapZ, and they need a home. And ideally, we'd really like to have, a separate repo at Kubernetes SIG's SCL level. But this is the baby step. So it's under my name right now, but it's all working. If you want to just click through, there's a couple working charts. And if people are interested in trying them out, that'd be great. But more importantly, if you have a chart that works in any fashion, we don't want this to be just an Azure thing. And once we've got several working charts, then we can make our pitch to maybe promote it to be a Kubernetes SIGs level project is our hope. But open for feedback, try out the charts. We would love some contributions.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you, Matt. Okay, so that brings us to the end of our regular agenda. And there's no provider updates. There is a quick feature group update. We are having a Carpenter meeting today after this one, although I imagine it will be fairly light. There's not much on the agenda, and we're going to have a big meetup with Fabrizio tomorrow. So we'll probably just kind of cover that and then keep going. So does anyone have last minute topics or ad hoc things that they want to bring up? Going in 3, 2, 1. Okay. Thanks everyone for coming out today. Thanks for the great discussion, and see you online and see you next time.